So now let's discuss aggregate fruit. I have discussed in the previous class that aggregate fruit, it is formed from single flower in which there is presence of apocarpous condition, that is the carpels, they are free. Now here I will be citing some important example with respect to it. First one is Itario of AIIMS. Now what is achene fruit? That we have already discussed. Now Itario of achene, aggregation of achene, this is present in strawberry. And in the case of the strawberry, the part which is edible, that is thalamus. Fleshy thalamus, as well as seeds, they are edible in strawberry. Second example of aggregate fruit, that is Itario of berries. Yes, so please keep this in mind that Itario of berry is not present in strawberry. Itario of berries, it is present in custard apple. And in the custard apple, the part which is edible, that is inner layer of pericarp, and along with that thalamus. Thalamus के लिए मैं यहाँ पर T लिख रही हूँ. Next one, Itario of follicle. This is present in delphinium. Now the last one, that is the Itario of drupes. Itario of drupes. This is present in raspberry. Now let's discuss the last type of fruit, that is the composite fruit. Now the last category of fruit I will be dealing here, that is composite fruit. Another name of this fruit, this is also known as multiple fruit. I had already discussed this in the previous class that multiple fruit, it is formed from entire inflorescence. Here two types of composite fruit I will be discussing. One is Syconus and the another one is Sorosis. Now Syconus, it is a fruit which is formed from hypanthodium inflorescence. Now this Syconus fruit, it is formed in fig. So you know the scientific name for this, that is the Ficus carica. It is formed in peepal, that is Ficus religiosa. Then banyan tree, that is Ficus bengalensis. I had already discussed that in the case of hypanthodium inflorescence, there is presence of flask-shaped receptacle like this. Flask-shaped receptacle है, right? और इस cavity के अंदर present है three types of flowers. On the upper side, that is this, which is near the mouth, there is presence of male flowers. सबसे lower वाली side के अंदर present है female flowers. And in between, there is presence of neuter flowers. So these are male, these flowers are female, and these are neuter flowers. So after the fertilization, this whole inflorescence, it forms fruit. That fruit is known as cyconus. और जो हर एक फीमेल फ्लावर यहाँ पर प्रेजेंट है, आफ्टर द फर्टिलाइजेशन इट फॉर्म्स अ कीन टाइप ऑफ फ्रूट. तो ये बात समझ आ रही है? फर्टिलाइजेशन के बाद जो पूरी इन्फ्लोरेसेंस है, जो फ्रूट फॉर्म करेगी, दैट इज साइकोनस. और जो हर एक फीमेल फ्लावर है, फर्टिलाइजेशन के बाद जो फ्रूट बनाएगा, दैट इज अकीन टाइप. Now, in the case of the hypanthodium inflorescence, in the case of the fig, the part which is edible, that is fleshy receptacle. Right? So, the fleshy receptacle is edible in the case of fig, Ficus carica. Now, coming to the sorosis. Sorosis is inflorescence which is formed from spike. It is formed from catkin, spadix. तो इन तीनों इन्फ्लोरेसेंस से फ्रूट बनेगा, तो उसको हम कहेंगे सरोसिस फ्रूट. सो आई विल बी साइटिंग फ्यू एग्जाम्पल्स फॉर दिस. वन एग्जाम्पल इज पाइनएप्पल. Now, in the pineapple, the part which is edible, that is fleshy axis, bract, perianth, and pericarp. तो ये सारे पार्ट एडिबल है पाइनएप्पल के अंदर. नाउ सेकेंड एग्जाम्पल फॉर दिस टाइप ऑफ द फ्रूट, दैट इज जैक फ्रूट. तो जैक फ्रूट के अंदर द पार्ट विच इज एडिबल, अगेन fleshy axis, yes. Then bract is edible. There is edible perianth, and now the next part which is edible here, that is seeds. Now, last example I am citing here, that is for mulberry, that is Morus alba. In the case of the Morus alba, the part which is edible, that is fleshy axis and succulent perianth. So this is all about the different types of the fruit. तीन कैटेगरीज हमने यहाँ पर डिस्कस करी हैं, that is simple fruit, then aggregate fruit, and this was the last category formed from the whole inflorescence, that is composite fruit. So now what I will be doing here, I will be briefly explaining all these types of the fruits so that all the types, all the categories, they are very much clear to all of you. तो जितनी भी कैटेगरीज फ्रूट्स की अभी तक हमने डिस्कस करी है, इन कैटेगरीज को अब हम क्विकली रिव्यू करेंगे. सो आई हैव डिस्कस्ड दैट देयर आर 3 टाइप्स ऑफ फ्रूट. Yes, simple fruit, that is formed from a single flower. Aggregate fruit, again formed from a single flower, but the gynoecium shows apocarpus condition. And composite fruit, यहाँ पर अभी हमने डिस्कस करा, it is formed from the whole inflorescence. Now, in the simple fruit, I have discussed 2 categories, that is dry fruit and fleshy fruit. Yes. So what is the difference between the dry fruit and fleshy fruit? In the fleshy fruit, the pericarp is differentiated into the 3 layers, and in the dry fruit, such type of the differentiation of the pericarp is absent. Now, in the dry fruits, there are 3 categories, that is indehiscent, dehiscent, and the category which is in between, that is schizocarpic. The first category, that is indehiscent. It's very well known to you. In the indehiscent, the bursting, the splitting of the fruit is absent. Here, the splitting of the fruit is present, and in this case, there is presence of intermediate condition. Now, we can see the major type of indehiscent fruit. So, indehiscent के अंदर हमने पढ़ा caryopsis fruit. Caryopsis fruit के अंदर the main feature, the pericarp and the seed coat, they are fused completely, right? Next one. Achene. Achene के अंदर the fusion of the pericarp and the seed coat, they are present, but the fusion is incomplete. Next one, Sepsella. तो चलिए बताइए, Sepsella के अंदर हमने पढ़ा hairy persistent calyx. Yes, what that calyx is known as? That is known as pappus. And what is the function of the pappus? It helps in the seed dispersal. Samara, very well known to you that in the Samara, the fruit possess wings, and their wings, they are formed from pericarp. And the last one, that is nut. So cite some example of nut fruit. Cashew nut, lychee and oak. तो लीची के अंदर कौन सा पार्ट एडिबल है? दैट इज एरल. नाउ कमिंग टू द डिहाइसेंट वन. यस, तो डिहाइसेंट के अंदर हमने पढ़ा लेग्यूम, देन फॉलिकल, another one, that is silicua, silicula, and कैप्सूल. यस, तो इन सब के अंदर जो फ्रूट है उसकी स्प्लिटिंग होगी, बर्स्टिंग होगी. तो लेग्यूम के अंदर द बर्स्टिंग ऑफ द फ्रूट इज फ्रॉम 2 sutures. फॉलिकल के अंदर भी 1 suture. सिलिकुआ के अंदर 2 sutures. सिलिकुला 2 sutures. एंड कैप्सूल के अंदर जो हमने एग्जाम्पल लिया वहां पर बने pores, that is in the opium, that is poppy. Now coming to the schizocarpic intermediate condition. Now in the case of the schizocarpic fruit, if there is formation of indehiscent compartments, then they are known as mericarp, and if they are dehiscent, then they are known as cocci. तो मैरिकाप हमने स्टडी करा. इन दी क्रीमोकाप, यस, another one lomentum, another example carcarulus, and one last type of the fruit which I have discussed here, that is double samara. इन सब केसेस के अंदर बनेगा मैरिकाप. क्रीमोकाप के अंदर 2 मैरिकाप्स, लोमेंटम के अंदर सेवरल, कार्कैरुलस अगेन 2, एंड 4 or more than 4, and in the double samara there is formation of 2 winged fruits. Cocci example is regma fruit, और regma के अंदर बनेंगे 3 compartments, 3 parts which are dehiscent. Now in the simple fruit, coming to the last category, that is the fleshy. तो fleshy fruit के अंदर हमने डिस्कस करा drupe, another one berry, papo, pome, hesperidium, Blosta, Amphis sarca. यहां पर जितने भी फ्रूट्स का मैंने नाम लिखा है इसमें से कौन सा ऐसा फ्रूट है जहां पर प्रेजेंट है स्टोनी एंडोकार्प? यस, द स्टोनी एंडोकार्प इज इन ड्रूप. And where there is presence of the stony epicarp, that is in Amphisarca. Now, in the case of the berry, that is the true berry, I have already discussed, the whole fruit is edible except the seed. पूरा fruit edible है. And what about the pepo? In the case of the pepo, generally the outermost covering, that is the skin, is non-edible and rest of the parts they are edible. Only the skin is non-edible. That's why the pepo fruit, it is also known as hard-walled berry. Pome. Pome is a false fruit. One example for this is apple. So you can easily tell me in the apple which part is edible, that is thalamus. Hesperidium is present in the citrus fruit and the part which is edible, that is unicellular placental hairs. And in the balusta, we have studied the part which is edible, that is seed coat, and in the seed coat, that is the outermost covering, that is testa. Aggregate fruit हम already discuss कर चुके हैं. It is present in strawberry, custard apple, delphinium, raspberry. And the composite fruit we have already discussed. It is of two types. Syconus. This is formed by Hypanthodium inflorescens. And Sorosis. It is formed by spikes, paddocks and catkin inflorescence. So the different types of the fruit is very much clear to all of you. तो यहाँ पर हमने जितने भी fruits का नाम लिखा है आप बता सकते हैं कौन सी कैटेगरी के अंदर almond present है? Yes, the almond belongs to which category? Yes, almond is not a nut. It belongs to the category of the fruit, that is drupe. Then apple belongs to which category? That is pome. Custard apple belongs to aggregate fruit. And the wood apple, elephant apple, they belong to the Amphisarca. Now this is all about the different types of the fruits. Now I will be starting with the next part in this chapter, next topic, that is seed. So let's start with the seed. Now seed is the ripened ovule. It is formed in the two group of the plants, that is the gymnosperms and angiosperm. So it represents ripened ovule formed in gymnosperms and angiosperm. The gymnosperm and angiosperm, these two group of plants together, they are also known as spermatophytes. तो यहां पर मैं ओव्यूल का डायग्राम बना रही हूं. We have already discussed different parts of the ovule while studying the plant kingdom. ओव्यूल के अंदर ये जो पार्ट मैंने बनाया, दैट इज द स्टॉक ऑफ ओव्यूल. द स्टॉक ऑफ द ओव्यूल, इट इज नोन एज फ्यूनिकल. These are integuments. And this part where the integument is absent, this pore, it is known as micropyle. Now, after the fertilization, this ovule, it results in the formation of seed. तो फर्टिलाइजेशन के बाद जो ओव्यूल है वो सीड फॉर्म करेगा और ओव्यूल के आसपास ये जो कवरिंग है दैट इज इंटेगमेंट्स, दे फॉर्म द कवरिंग ऑफ सीड दैट इज सीड कोट. इंटेगमेंट्स दे विल फॉर्म सीड कोट. अगर ओव्यूल के अंदर प्रेजेंट है दो इंटेगमेंट्स, two integuments present है, so the outer integument they form the part of the seed coat that is known as testa, और जो inner integument है that form the part of the seed coat that is known as tegmen. So testa and tegmen together constitutes seed coat. Now in our typical seed there is presence of three main parts. तीन पार्ट सीड के अंदर प्रेजेंट है. वन इज सीड कोट, यस दैट्स आवर प्रोटेक्टिव कवरिंग, राइट. Then another one is embryo. You know that embryo after the development it forms the future plant. So this embryo it represents tiny future plant. Then the next one is the nutritive tissue. The nutritive tissue which is present that is endosperm. Yes, this nutritive tissue endosperm in the mature seed of dicots it is absent and in the case of the monocots it is present. So these are the different parts of the seed. Now here I will be discussing dicot seed in detail. So let's start with the dicotyledonous seed. So this is dicotyledonous seed. सीड के अंदर ये जो आउटर मोस्ट कवरिंग यहां पर हम दिखा रहे हैं, दिस इज सीड कोट. And over the seed coat you will see that there is presence of a scar. सीड के ऊपर प्रेजेंट है scar. This scar it represents hilum. And what is that? This is the point where the seed was attached to the fruit. So hilum is a scar which represents the point of attachment of seed to the fruit. और यहीं पर हाइलम के पास आपको पोर दिखाई देगा. हाइलम के पास ये जो पोर दिखाई दे रहा है, दिस पोर इट रिप्रेजेंट्स micropyle. The function of the micropyle, it will help in the gaseous exchange as well as it is involved in the absorption of water. Seed coat के अंदर present है tiny future plant. Tiny future plant, that is embryo. Let's study the different parts of the embryo which is present in the dicotyledonous seed. तो सीड कोट के अंदर प्रेजेंट है एम्ब्रियो. Now in the embryo, this is embryonic axis. It is very well known to you. The embryonic axis, this is known as tigellum. Right? ना एम्ब्रियोनिक एक्सिस में यहां पर आप देख रहे हैं, ये दिस रिप्रेजेंट्स कॉटिलिडनरी नोड. ये जो कॉटिलिडनरी नोड है, यहां से ये जो दो स्ट्रक्चर अराइज हो रहे हैं, दे आर कॉटिलिडन्स. In the case of the dicot, there is presence of two cotyledons. So these expanded structures, they are cotyledons. Now, tigellum का ये जो part है, yes, this part, it bears plumule. It bears plumule, and you know that the plumule, it forms shoot system. Yes, this part of the tigellum, this represents radical, and you know that the radical, it forms root system. Cotyledonary node के ऊपर ये जो part है tigellum का, yes, the part of the tigellum which is present above the cotyledonary node, which is present above the cotyledon, this part, this is known as apicotyle. और जो पार्ट नीचे प्रेजेंट है कॉटिलिडनरी नोड के नीचे, दिस कैन सिंपली बी नोन एज हाइपोकोटाइल. So the different parts of the embryo, it is very much clear to all of you. Now after the dicot seed, now I will be discussing monocot. So let's start with the monocot seed. Now to explain the monocot seed, I will be taking here example of maize. And in the maize, I am forming fruit here. So just now I have discussed that the fruit which is present in the maize, this is known as caryopsis fruit. Now this is the fruit covering. The covering of the fruit, it is known as pericarp. और इस पूरे फ्रूट के अंदर प्रेजेंट है एक सीड. One large size seed is present in the fruit, and the pericarp and the seed coat, they shows fusion. Now in the seed, now I am forming nutritive layer, that is endosperm. तो यहां पर अब मैं न्यूट्रिटिव लेयर फॉर्म कर रही हूं. So this is endosperm. As I have already discussed that in the case of the dicot seed, mature dicot seed, the endosperm is generally absent, and in the monocots, the endosperm is present. Now, in the case of the maize, the outermost layer of the endosperm, it is proteinaceous. एंडोस्पर्म की जो outermost layer है वो proteinaceous है, and this proteinaceous layer, it is known as aileron layer. So you please keep this in mind that this aileron layer, it is not the feature of all the monocot seeds. This is present in only few seeds. One example for this is maize and another one is barley. Now on this side, there is presence of embryo. तो यहाँ पर अब मैं embryo form करूंगी. Yes. So this is embryo. In the embryo, this represents embryonic axis. This is embryonic axis. Embryonic axis की दोनों तरफ there should be presence of the cotyledon, but in the case of the monocot, there is presence of only one well-developed cotyledon. तो डायकॉट के अंदर तो दोनों तरफ cotyledons present होते हैं, but monocot के अंदर there is presence of only one well-developed cotyledon. This well-developed cotyledon which is present in the monocot, this is known as scutellum, and you can see here the scutellum which is present here, that is shield shaped. Right? ये जो पार्ट मैंने यहां पर बनाया है, दिस पार्ट इज प्लेम्यूल, और प्लेम्यूल के ऊपर ये जो पार्ट प्रेजेंट है, दे आर immature leaves. Yes, the covering which is present, they are immature leaves, or you can call them as leaf primordia. और लीफ प्राइमोडिया के ऊपर ये जो कवरिंग यहां पर प्रेजेंट है, दिस कवरिंग इट इज नोन एज कोलियोपेटाइल. राइट नाउ हियर एट दिस एंड ये जो स्ट्रक्चर बनाया है, दिस स्ट्रक्चर इज रेडिकल, and you can see here the radicle, it is also covered with the help of a sheath, and this sheath is known as coleorhiza. So the different parts of the embryo is very much clear. Plumule के ऊपर जो covering है, that is the coleopatile, and the sheath which is covering the radicle, that sheath is coleorhiza. Now here I will be citing some of the important differences between the dicot and monocot seed. So let's cite some of the important differences in the dicot and monocot seed. Now one difference, that in the case of the dicot there is presence of two cotyledons. In the monocot there is presence of one well developed cotyledon, that is scutellum. In the monocot, the plumule and radicle, they are covered with the help of sheath. These sheaths, they are known as coleopatile and coleorhiza. The sheath in the case of the dicot embryo, these are absent. जो dicot seed है, at the mature stage, in the seed, the endosperm is absent. Why the endosperm is absent? Because the reserve food which is present in the endosperm, that is consumed by embryo, and generally the part of the embryo which is fleshy, that is cotyledons. तो एंडोस्पर्म के अंदर जो न्यूट्रिशन है, जो फूड है, दैट फूड हैज बीन कंज्यूम्ड बाय द एम्ब्रियो, और एम्ब्रियो के अंदर वो फूड कहां पर प्रेजेंट होगा? कोटिलेडन्स के अंदर. सो हियर द कोटिलेडन्स, दे आर फ्लेशी, दे स्टोर रिजर्व फूड. But what about the monocots? Monocots के अंदर, mature seed के अंदर endosperm present है, it stores the reserve food. In the dicot seed, I can write few examples like gram, pea, groundnut. In the monocot seed, examples are maize, rice, wheat. Now here I have to cite certain exceptions. Now dicot seed के अंदर generally endosperm absent है, but exception you write here, One exception for this is castor. And in the case of the monocot seed, the exception where the endosperm is absent, that is orchid. अगर सीड के अंदर एंडोस्पर्म प्रेजेंट है, such type of the seeds, they are known as endospermic seed, or you can call these seeds also as albuminous seed. Yes, अगर एंडोस्पर्म प्रेजेंट होगी तो आप इन सीड्स को कहेंगे एंडोस्पर्मिक, और दी सीड्स दे आर नोन एज albuminous seeds. And if in the seed the endosperm is absent, such type of the seeds they are known as non-endospermic. In seeds को आप कहेंगे non-endospermic, और these seeds they are also known as exalbuminous. Right? Now, in the seed, I have to discuss now one more structure here, that is perisperm. Now, I have to discuss one structure, that is perisperm. ये मैं ओव्यूल बना रही हूं यहां पर. And in the ovule, you know that this part, ये जो part है ovule के अंदर, this part is nucellus. जनरली जब ओव्यूल सीड के अंदर कन्वर्ट होता है तो जो न्यूसिलस है, दैट इज द न्यूट्रिटिव टिश्यू दैट हैज बीन कंज्यूम्ड. सो जनरली when the ovule is converted into the seed, the nucellus in the seed is absent, but in few cases seed के अंदर nucellus present हो सकता है. Only the remains of nucellus can be present. सिर्फ कुछ केसेस के अंदर the remains of nucellus in the seed can be present. तो देखिए कैसे present होगा. बीच में जो न्यूसिलस प्रेजेंट है वो कंज्यूम हो जाएगा. इन द सेंटर द न्यूसिलस विच इज प्रेजेंट दैट इज कंज्यूम्ड. ओनली द लेयर ऑफ न्यूसिलस इट इज प्रेजेंट टुवर्ड्स द पेरिफेरी. बात समझ आ रही है. जो न्यूसिलस सेंटर के अंदर प्रेजेंट है वो कंज्यूम हो गया. Only the remains of nucellus, it is present at the periphery. So when the remains of nucellus, they are present at the periphery, this remain, it is known as perisperm. Are you getting this? Nucellus remains, if they are present in the seed at the periphery in the form of a thin layer, then this remains of nucellus, it is known as perisperm. Now the perisperm, it is present in the gymnosperm as well as it is also seen in the angiospermic seed. In the gymnosperm, one example for this is pinus, and in the angiosperm, perisperm is present in piper nigrum, that is black pepper, and another example for this is castor. तो देखिए कैस्टर के अंदर बहुत सारी चीजें जो प्रेजेंट है वो डिफरेंट है. वन, इट इज अ डाइकॉट प्लांट. It is a dicot plant, but still in the seed the endosperm is present, and second, in the seed there is presence of remains of nucellus which represents perisperm. Now in some of the cases what happens, the remains of nucellus, they are present, but they are present only on the lower end, like this. Remains present है nucellus के, पर सिर्फ कौन से एंड पर प्रेजेंट है अब? लोअर एंड पर. Yes, this end. So you might be knowing that the lower end of the ovule, it is known as chalaza. So when the remains of nucellus, they are present at the chalazal end, then it is known as chalazosperm. And one example for this is sinestrum. तो ये बात समझ आई? अगर remains of nucellus present है periphery पर, तो क्या कहेंगे इसको? Perisperm. And if they are present only at the lower end, chalazal end, then what you will call this structure as? Chalazosperm. So this is all about this lecture. In this lecture, I have discussed types of fruits, and now I have discussed types of seed in the monocot as well as dicot. In the next class, I will be starting with the description of angiospermic families. Thank you so much.